A new report from Human Rights Watch says officials in Xinjiang region are now using a high-tech system of surveillance to stop crimes before they occur. The system uses data from facial recognition cameras, Wi-Fi signals, banking records, and more to search for suspicious activity. Now, if the system finds anything it deems a red flag, police will pay that person a visit. Joining me with more on how this works is Associate Professor of History at Loyola University, New Orleans, Rian Thum. Rian, thanks so much for being here with us. I got to say, when reading about this today, it reminded me of the Steven Spielberg movie Minority Report, stopping crimes before they start. Give me a little sense of what this is, and is this really a thing? Is this actually happening?
Well, this is actually happening, and those of us who study the region and people who live in the region, families there, all know someone who's disappeared thanks to this system. What it is it's a way to analyze the huge amounts of data that security forces in China collect about, particularly the Uyghur minority in the Xinjiang region. As you mentioned, there are facial recognition systems attached to surveillance cameras everywhere in towns in the region, GPS tracking on cars. There are regular visits from security officers and party members to people's houses. It's very difficult to keep track of all this data and make use of it. So this new system integrates all that and then flags people for suspicion. And once someone is under suspicion, they're often disappeared into what are being called re-education camps while they're investigated, and very few people emerge from those camps.
Take me to those re-education camps, because you've talked to some people who have actually been to them and come out the other side. If I were to be rounded up and sent to one of those camps, what would I be in for?
You would, first of all, have very little idea what to expect. There have been only a couple of stories that have come out of people who've been released, because so few people actually have come out so far. But you would be in for waking up at 5 a.m., having breakfast of a steamed bun, then a few hours of marching in your cell, which you would share with about 20 other people, marching and chanting party slogans, and then watching videos about what the Chinese government deems the proper way to practice Islam. Then lunch, and then you repeat the same thing, marching and chanting slogans in your cell, and then watching videos. And then after that, it's another steamed bun and some broth and bedtime at 8 p.m.
Rian, before we go, let's just get a sense of context here for our viewers, because in Canada and the United States, the UK, we've all arrested terrorists before they've perpetrated an act of terror. They say that there is about, the number is, I think, 1 surveillance camera for every 10 citizens in the UK. I mean, it seems like we have and employ pieces of what you're describing in this integrated joint operations platform. What is the difference between how we in the West secure ourselves and what's going on in China?
Great. One of the main differences is that in the U.S. or in Canada, you have to be charged with a crime when you're arrested. In fact, these people who are disappearing are not charged with a crime. Their families are not notified of where they've gone, and they can disappear for something as small as praying with their feet apart, or not smoking, or having too many books in their homes. What you refer to with the arrests of people who are planning terrorist attacks are people who have actually undertaken steps and made plans to commit a specific act of violence. The people who are disappearing in Xinjiang are disappearing simply because the Communist Party deems them, quote, untrustworthy. And what makes you untrustworthy can be as little as having a conversation with a foreigner or being related to someone who studies outside of China. But this is something that does threaten to spread to the rest of the world. The companies that are supplying this equipment to the Chinese government are also supplying it to other places. Ecuador, for example, is using artificial intelligence to link up its cameras, although Ecuador it should be noted, is using it to arrest people who have actually committed crimes, not merely people who are suspected of one day committing something in the future.
Rian, thank you so much for sort of shedding some light on this for us. We appreciate it.